Welcome to Sound and Fury. I happen to be Eric Wilfred Watson.
And I'm Hugh Frank, and I am the man in the box.
Today we're going to bury him in
No!
Today we're going to talk about but not quite in that literal of a sense. We're going to talk about
feces.
We're going to talk about the worst 8 episodes of Star Trek ever.
Ouch.
So, I've compiled the shit list, I guess you could say.
Would you say you composed it? Or
I
decomposed it?
Hey. So, Star Trek has been around since the 60s. It has
Just like chlamydia.
It has a lot of episodes.
Yes.
Some of them are very good.
Yes.
Some of them are okay. Some of them are the worst things ever put to film.
Ah.
Just sheer mathematics says that when you have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of episodes, 3 seasons of the original series, 7 each of the Next Generation, Voyager and Deep Space Nine, 4 of Enterprise, 2 of the animated series, 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks. Well, the first season's out, the next one's coming out. They're already working on season 3. 1 season of Picard, 3 seasons of Star Trek Discovery with a 4th on the way, and oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. That's a lot of Star Trek.
The horror.
And I've watched every single one of them. So, I'm going to focus on the Star Treks that are not currently on the air.
Okay. So the 8 episodes of Voyager, all of them sucked. Thank you for watching our video.
I'm going to make you watch some good Voyager episodes. They're out there. But, no, I'm going to leave off Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Discovery because they're not so episodic as the other shows. They're one continuous story for the most part. Mm-hmm. So it's harder to pick out a single episode and ridicule it. So I'd rather focus on the classic, well, pre-Kurtzman era Star Trek.
All right.
So, in no particular order, worst episodes ever. The original series, The Alternative Factor. Sadly, it's the 27th episode of Star Trek.
Of course it is.
It's about how Nirvana ended like the hair metal days and created the alternative genre of...
Yes. That would be an alternative universe. Yeah. Have you ever noticed how, like, the drummer from Nirvana looks an awful lot like the lead singer from
Foo Fighters?
From Foo Fighters.
Yeah, it's an odd coincidence.
It's weird. They must be twins or something.
No, I think it's just a total coincidence.
Oh, okay.
But in the alternative factor, the actor that was originally supposed to play the guest star of Lazarus was actually Drew Barrymore's dad.
Oh, John Barrymore.
But he pulled out at the last minute, and somebody else took the
Apparently
role.
didn't pull out in time.
But the concept of the show is a guy named Lazarus is being slowly driven insane by the fact that he has a mirror or alternate universe counterpart who is plaguing him, although his alternate universe counterpart is made of antimatter, from an antimatter universe.
Okay.
So if they collide, not only will they annihilate each other, but the universe!
I told you it was a thing. All white, and black, and empty. A terrible emptiness.
Let's get back to the ship.
He'll kill us all if we don't kill him first. Kill! 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 Kill!
Wow. That sounds scary. So obviously that didn't happen.
No.
No.
Spoiler alert. The reason the episode sucks so much is most of the show is watching them fight with like a weird psychedelic lens filter for a really, really long time.
Oh,
And
so
this,
it's kind of like if the movie 2001 had a fight.
yes, that just didn't stop.
Gotcha.
And spoilers, the story concludes where they're locked between universes.
Universes?
Yes.
I want
That's the
universes for Christmas.
That's the plural for universes.
Only universes will do.
But the show concludes with them stuck between universes for all eternity to fight. But it's the worst thing about it is just how boring it is. Just it's an hour of nothing happening.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't like it very much.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
The next worst episode is The Way to Eden.
Ah, yes.
Which is
We're off to the way to Eden, the wonderful way to Eden.
Which is another episode you've never seen before.
Yes. I've probably never seen any of these.
Oh yeah, there's some Next Generation ones on there.
Oh, okay.
So I know I've seen those.
Yeah.
The Way to Eden is a show that the 1960s caught up with the fact that it was the 1960s. And Star Trek happened to be filmed in the 1960s.
Far out, man.
And it kind of bled through.
Gotcha.
They come across a spaceship version of a Volkswagen minibus.
We
microbus.
all live on the Yellow Enterprise. The Yellow Enterprise. No?
Basically, the whole episode is space hippies stinking up the ship with patchouli and singing really terrible songs.
Long time back when the galaxy was new, man found out what he had to do.
For an hour.
Sounds great to me.
On the Sci-Fi Channel,
Space
they-
hippies.
on the Sci-Fi Channel, they had a Star Trek marathon where they had some original cast members come on and talk about each individual episode, like coming in and out of commercials.
That care was not being taken at this juncture, that they were just sticking the character into a situation, and rather than writing the dialogue to fit the character, they had the character fit the dialogue. So I felt it was a corruption.
Jimmy Doohan, who played Scotty, did not have nice things to say about it.
Don't know why a young mind has to be an undisciplined one. Troublemakers.
The hippie one. I can't even remember the name. That's why it's my least favorite.
And I remember very clearly him going, no, this episode was just nothing. It was horrible. I didn't like it.
The Way to Eden was my least favorite show because it was nothing. Okay?
But I remember clearly him calling it nothing. He was looking uncomfortably, trying to say something nice about it, but can't.
Yeah, so you've got a World War II hero and hippies. Those don't really mix together.
Because it was nothing. Okay?
Yeah. All right.
So, those are my two original series icky
What about
episodes.
Spock's brain? I've heard that was like the worst I've ever.
That one
Not that I've
isn't.
seen it.
That one has enough camp value where I find it fun to watch.
Now, you took his brain. You will put it back. How did you do it?
I do not know.
She couldn't, Jim. Her mind is functioning on a very simple level. Mental faculties down here seem to be almost atrophied because of non-use.
My brain hurts!
It's
Gotcha.
like an unintentional comedy.
It's like it's its own Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, it's fun if you set your brain to the side, kind of like Spock did. You can kind of enjoy the episode. And there's some other ones that are not so great, like Turnabout Intruder, the last episode. It didn't really end the series on a high note, and there's some stinkers in there, but those two really stand out as just unwatchably boring.
Okay. Fair enough.
Speaking of unwatchably boring, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button, and share it with everyone you've ever heard of. All right, now that that's out of the way,
Yeah.
let's move on to Star Trek The Next Generation.
Let's.
Shades of Grey.
Oh, I've seen that movie. There's a lot of sex in that.
Yeah, this is only one shade of gray.
Oh.
It's attacking his brain. It's attacking his brain.
My brain hurts!
It's attacking his brain, and nothing can stop it.
Respiration is erratic, pulse grossly irregular, blood pressure almost nil.
Can anything save him from a tragic death?
Hang on, Will. Hang on.
Find out next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Okay, so it's part 1 of 49 others, or part 1 of 50?
So the episode basically is Riker in bed, strapped down.
Gotcha. So yeah, it sounds
The next
like...
worst episode of Star Trek is... No.
Well, it sounds like 50 Shades of Grey, but it's only one Riker.
One shade of Riker?
Yeah. No, I guess it'd be number 1 shade of Grey.
Ah, I see what you did there.
That's what she said.
By the way, this is a true story. I was at a Star Trek convention a couple years ago, and I, like any normal human being, had to go to the bathroom. And it's a Star Trek convention, so there's Star Trek people around. So I go to a urinal, like sometimes men will do. And as I'm doing what people usually do in a urinal, Jonathan Frakes walks into the bathroom, goes to the urinal directly next to me, and starts taking a leak. Now, he's a regular dude. People have to pee. Nothing fancy or spectacular about that. But it occurred to me that I was quite literally taking a number 1 next to number 1, taking a number 1.
Yes, and I do believe, as the story goes, Michael Dorn was in the.
I didn't realize
number
it.
2.
I didn't realize it, but Michael Dorn was in the bathroom stall, and he was. The toilet paper was circling around the Klingons around Uranus. But yeah, I was like,
you boldly went there.
But I'm sitting here thinking, I'm not going to say anything. He's just a guy using the bathroom. I'm not going to say anything. He's just a guy using the bathroom. But as soon as I left the bathroom, I'm like,
you were so excited.
I've never been that excited to be next to a man with his dick out in my entire life.
Number 1, I order you to go take a number 2.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Sorry.
The next worst episode of Star Trek The Next Generation was the outrageous Okuna.
Hakuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. I don't remember that one.
IMDb describes it as the Enterprise. That's the ship the show is set on.
Oh, I thought it was where they rented their cars.
That's why the Orville has the bad guys being an alien species that worships Avis.
Hail Avis! Hail victory!
Of course.
Anyway.
The anti-Enterprise.
Anyway, the Enterprise rescues the captain of a broken down freighter known as the Millennium Falcon, only to become involved in a dispute between feuding worlds, each demanding custody of Harrison Ford. That's only a slight exaggeration. They're desperately trying to have Star Trek's Han Solo, and it doesn't work at all.
Oh, no.
And they try to have comedy with him.
Wait, is Harrison Ford in there somewhere?
No, it's a Han Solo wannabe.
Gotcha.
He dresses like Han Solo. It doesn't
let's
work.
be honest. Who doesn't want to be Han Solo? Besides Chuck Norris.
You make a valid point.
No.
Your weapons, please.
A Klingon security officer.
Yes.
No wars available, eh?
But the show tries to be a comedy. Now, Star Trek can be funny. There are episodes that are actually decently funny. The Trouble with Troubles is a funny episode. But this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Data tries to be funny and goes to the holodeck to learn jokes, and he calls up a holographic Joe Piscopo.
And we'll try some jokes, like, I don't know, we'll start with the classics. He says there's a traveling salesman now, and he's going down the road and his car breaks down, right?
Access
and he comes
faster.
up upon this farmhouse. Now, it's
Probably best when you do something like this is using a little cigar because it's kind of a prop kind of thing. You can kind of go like this. This is good too. You kind of go like this.
Faster.
Hey, I'll tell you.
Move to maximum speed.
So, and then you can tell a joke.
Who teaches him comedy, and it's embarrassing and hard to watch.
What does Joe Piscopo know about comedy?
Anyway. Moving on. Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Ah.
Now, I only have one bad pick
Wait,
on
wait,
Deep
wait,
Space
wait.
Nine.
You're not going to mention the Tasha Yar dying episode of Next Generation? Because to me...
I didn't think that one was that bad.
Oh, the giant sludge monster? The big
Skin of
tar
evil
thing? Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah, that. That was awful.
Injured crewmen in the shuttlecraft. We need to get to them. May we pass?
Shall not pass! You haven't given me a good enough reason.
It's one of those unintentional comedies for me.
The worst part of that, you should run a clip, right? Is when Tasha Yar, I forget where, but some part along the way, she has like clown makeup. Literally, like the blood on her face is a circular pattern, like like what you draw on a kid's face, like a flower at a fair. It's just awful. Anyway, just saying.
Yeah. Well, Star Trek's usually pretty good at makeup, but sometimes they're not.
Yeah. Well,
actually, that's one of the criticisms I have of the Deep Space Nine episode. Move along home. Now, Deep Space Nine to me is sometimes mediocre, often fantastic, but rarely shitty.
Okay.
This is one of the shitty ones.
Oh, okay.
Basically, aliens that have Sharpie marker on their forehead, speaking of bad makeup, and fake mustaches go to Deep Space Nine and they get bored with the games.
Are they digitally edited mustaches or just fake mustaches?
They're just...
Okay. So they're not Supermen?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, they're bored with the games.
Oh.
So they decide to put the 4 main cast members into a game.
So do they announce it by saying, "We are bored. Resistance is futile"?
Yes.
Okay.
Prepare yourself for a new kind of sport.
4 officers have just disappeared.
We're playing for our lives here.
Where to win, you must survive.
Choose their path.
What is wrong with you people?
Next time on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
No, but they make Captain Sisko and a few other people pawns.
Mongo only pawn in game of life.
Like the game board pieces.
I am not a merry man.
Right?
Okay.
And they force them to play a really embarrassing game for kids where if they don't make it to the end, they'll die.
Alamarine, count to 4. Alamarine, then 3 more. Alamarine, then 3 more. Alamarine, if you can see. Alamarine, you'll come with me.
Basically, the show is awkward, annoying, and not fun to watch.
Oh, speaking of awkward, annoying, and not fun to watch, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Moving on to your favorite Star Trek show, Voyager.
Ah, Voyager.
Course Oblivion.
Okay. Was that the entire series?
Yeah, that was the name of an episode of Voyager that I didn't like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, Star Trek Voyager, I know you watched the pilot episode and nope, that's enough for me.
That's enough for me.
But I like Voyager.
Ensign Tuvok, what is the composition of this nebula?
Primarily oxygen and argon, with traces of theta xenon, fluorine, and beryllium gas.
Beryllium? That's a highly combustible substance, isn't it?
Affirmative.
Is there anybody...
The kind of Star Trek got in its groove. A lot of the characters are underdeveloped. You can tell the actor that plays Chakotay just doesn't want to be there. And he basically said as much later as like embarrassed that he was in Star Trek. But he still goes to conventions and gets money, so I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah, money talks.
But Voyager's Course Oblivion show, and major spoilers here if you really, really want to watch this, and fuck it, who cares? The crew of Voyager start getting sick, and the ship starts falling apart. And they realize partway through the episode that they're not actually the Voyager crew. They are what they're biomimetic life forms. So the Voyager crew, the real Voyager crew, went to a planet and then left, but the little blobs of life that they didn't know were there, like, copied the Voyager crew, went into space thinking they were the Voyager crew. But they couldn't, like, maintain the outside of their planet, so they all started to die horribly. The show ends with them all disintegrating into nothingness.
Stardate 52597.4. Our situation's getting worse every day. More than 80% of the ship is uninhabitable. Most of the crew are gone. It seems less and less likely that the few of us left will reach our destination.
Just as the real Voyager passes by and doesn't notice them. So it's dark, depressing, horrible, boring, and stupid. And I don't like it.
Yeah. So basically it sums up the whole series.
I like Star Trek Voyager. We're going to have stay tuned for our reaction video where I strap him to a table, 50 Shades of Grey style, with the Clockwork Orange things and make him watch Star Trek Voyager until he...
Sing in the rain. Sing in the rain.
So, there's another Star Trek Voyager episode I hate, but I'm going to skip over, save that one for last.
Okay.
I want to talk about one Star Trek Enterprise episode. That's the Scott Bakula prequel show.
Count Bakula.
So it's the episode where he goes back in time and experiences the lives of other people, and then a guy with a little handheld device called Ziggy basically tells him what he's supposed to do before he can leap to the next episode.
Ziggy, that's a cool name.
Yeah.
I like that name.
So, no, the actual episode is actually the series finale called These Are The Voyages.
Ah.
It's on its own. If you, like, separate it from the series, it's a pretty good episode. But it's, if you actually are a fan of the show, it's sort of insulting. It's a
So I wouldn't be insulted then.
You might actually like it.
Ah.
And I
this
like,
show sucks, but you might like it.
I liked it for what it was. I just wish it wasn't the finale of the show.
Oh, okay.
It's a Star Trek The Next Generation episode.
Ah. Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. That's the only episode of Enterprise I've ever seen. Because they go back, hang on, let's see if I remember. It's the ship that like phases in and out, and Troy and Riker are trying to decide whether or not to tell the captain that they know stuff about the ship, the Pegasus.
Yes.
Hey, that's the one I saw.
He's having conversations with
literally the only show I saw of Enterprise.
He's having conversations with the Enterprise, the Captain Archer,
Yeah.
Scott Bakula Enterprise, but it should have ended with an actual episode of Enterprise. To like fast forward 200 years, having a holodeck episode on another TV show.
I remember seeing one of these in a photograph.
Kirk's ship had him, I think. Engineering's down this way.
There's something lonely about a ship without its crew.
Computer, add an appropriate crew complement, objective mode.
That's better.
And then they shamelessly, uselessly, pointlessly kill off a main character. For really no advancement to the story. There's, hey, wouldn't it be powerful if you killed a main character? Oh, how do you want to do that? Let's have him just blow up for no reason, and then that'll be that. Oh, good idea. And no, it just doesn't work. It doesn't have the impact of like Data sacrificing himself with a phaser, blowing up Shinzon's ship, Spock dying to save the Enterprise. It's just, it's just, I guess I'll just blow up now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you just watch it as a Next Generation episode, it's kind of good. But I think of the finale as really the two shows that came before it, which star RoboCop, which are actually pretty decent.
Sweet. You have 5 seconds to comply. No, wait, that was at 209. Was he in anything?
No.
Oh.
No, but Ed Harris was in the...
Ed Harris?
No.
Ed Harris?
What's RoboCop's name? The actor? Ed Harris is the wrong guy. I know that now. But
yeah, I don't remember his name.
I'll look it up.
It's Kyle or Mike or Jim or Bob or Dave or something.
I probably would have kept on guessing, but about that time we ran into the truck, and as I'm bleeding there on the asphalt, suddenly I recognize the name of my hibachi dealer, who jumps up and starts singing, "Everything you know is wrong." Everything you know is wrong.
Black is white, up is down, and right is wrong. Thank you, Rudolph.
But anyway, I saved the Star Trek Voyager episode that I hate the most, the worst episode in all of Star Trek, period.
Wow.
Hands down, absolutely my least favorite Star Trek that has ever been filmed.
Dang.
The episode is called Threshold.
Threshold. Okay.
Not to be confused with the Slayer song of the same name.
Wow. Yeah, we don't want to confuse anything with Slayer.
In the episode Threshold, they are conducting experimental warp travel because they're stranded on the opposite side of the galaxy. They want to get home. So they try to figure out how to go past warp 10.
Gotcha. Which, in theory, brings you back in time so that you can save whales.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but that's the old way of calculating warp.
They have different ways.
Well, in the original series, you could go past warp 10 because they just calculated it differently. But in the I could know math, but I know this. They recalculated or redrew the warp. So, like, warp 7 in the original series isn't the same speed as warp 7 in Star Trek The Next Generation. They redrew the scales, basically. But warp 10 and everything basically after Captain Kirk is considered to be infinite velocity. Meaning that if you go warp 10, you are literally everywhere in the galaxy at the same time at once.
It's an infinite improbability drive.
Exactly.
It passes through every conceivable point in every conceivable universe almost simultaneously. In other words, you're never sure where you'll end up or even what species you'll be when you get there.
Wow, so Douglas Adams actually thought of this before Star Trek did.
Yes. Nice. So what happens is, instead of like creating a whale that falls to the ground and...
Oh no, not again. Oh wait, that was the bowl of petunias.
Instead of that happening...
I wonder if it'll be friends with me. Hello, ground.
curiously, the only thing that went through the mind of the bowl of petunias as it fell was, oh no, not again.
The two people that were on the test warp ship, which happened to be Tom Paris and the captain, because, you know, the captain of the ship would actually, of course, be on the experimental, you know, test flight. Sure. Because that's how you do that in a military organization. The most dangerous thing obviously goes to the captain.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Depends on how much you like your captain, I guess.
But they start to devolve. Kind of like
Barclay's protomorphosis disease.
Sort of like that, except for that Tom Paris and Janeway sort of turn into salamander fish lizards.
Sweet.
They go down to a planet and reproduce.
Oh.
And have
Let's get it on.
Have little salamander babies that swim off into the water.
I don't know how I'm going to enter this into the log.
Then the doctor returns them to normal, and then they go back about their business, fly off, and never ever ever talk about that ever again.
I would imagine they wouldn't probably, yeah.
So
wait, what's it called again?
Threshold.
Threshold, okay.
The people in Star Trek Voyager never mentioned it ever again. The writers never brought it up again. They pretend it doesn't exist.
And they aptly named Sir not appearing in this film.
Yes. But there are other Star Trek episodes that aren't great, but I think those are the ones that are the most grating.
Okay. I totally get it. Yeah, I would have just picked Star Trek Voyager and called it a day.
There's actually some really good Voyagers out there. There's one with Andy Dick.
Access to that program is unrestricted.
Activating.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency. What the hell are you doing in my sick bay?
Yeah, that's not going to convince anybody.
I socialize with the crew, fraternize with aliens. I've even had sexual relations.
Sex? How's that possible? We're not equipped.
Let's just say I made an addition to my program.
Before you leave, maybe you could download those subroutines into my database.
We'll see.
Come on, Andy Dick is in Star Trek! So's The Rock.
Yeah, well, I suppose. You know,
7 out of 9 wears tight clothes.
You know, I saw her she was at Gen Con
Oh,
when I was there. There was a big line of people, and they didn't look particularly attractive to see her. And I made eye contact with her. I wasn't in line. I was just passing by, and she had this, help me kind of look on her face. She was not thrilled to be there.
Kind of like one of the hostage videos from, during the Iraq War. They had the prisoners of war, we're being treated really well by the,
Yeah, she did not look happy to be there. Yep.
There's a Star Trek museum in Vulcan, Canada, where they have 7 of 9's costume on display, and it's just well, those is what her boobs would look like if she was sitting in the costume. They made sure that they had the boob part filled out fully. And, I kind of feel sorry for her a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, she was awesome though in Picard. She was, she was like
yeah, she was badass. I like a lot of Trekkies didn't like what they did to the character, but I thought it was fun to watch her just kick ass and take names.
Yeah,
she ran out of bubblegum.
She did run out of bubblegum. Yeah, she was kind of like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2. First go arounds, I didn't really get.
She's a really good actress. I've seen her in a couple other things here and there. She was on a couple episodes of Bosch. She pops up as an attorney in some other shows, and she's really good. There's one episode of Voyager where, all the people that she's ever assimilated, start to manifest.
Did I do something bad?
Who are you?
My name's Meryl.
Subaltern Larod, Vulcan High Command. May I be of assistance?
Dorak Mirage.
I beg your pardon?
I am the son of Kavach.
she like switches from character to character to character.
Oh.
And she like all of a sudden she's a Klingon, all of a sudden she's a Ferengi.
My, look at the size of that thing. This view screen. It's gotta be one of the biggest I've ever seen. I'll give you 20 bars of platinum for it.
And she just goes from character to character, and really seamless. And it's actually very impressive bit of theater on her part. I have a lot of respect for her.
So, did she know all of the rules of acquisition, or just 7 of 9?
Goodbye.
Hail Avis! Hail victory!
My brain hurts!
Maybe you could download those subroutines into my database.